What's going on for all fans? Brian, Mafia, Ciano, back with you again. Last night, don't worry, it's got to be back on Monday. But here I am talking sports. We're going to talk about college football. Of course, there's some great big games going on this weekend. Some ones that are going to decide playoff positioning. Oklahoma State, that can knock Oklahoma out of the rankings. Notre Dame, Stanford, can that make Notre Dame creep up in the rankings? Who knows, because both those teams do not have conference championship games, which of course hurts them. So these are their biggest games, their last mark to make in front of the committee. You say, hey, look at me, let me play, please, I want to go. So we'll see what happens with those games. Of course, there's other games that are going to lead to conference title games. Iowa already won their game tonight to get into the Big Ten title game, and it's all about whether they play Michigan State, whether they play Ohio State, whether they even maybe play Michigan. You got a lot of games going on as far as the Iron Bowl. Can Auburn upset Alabama, ruin their playoff dreams? You got Clemson's got to win against South Carolina in their rivalry game. Plenty of great action going on throughout college football, but the big story coming out of things on Friday is Les Miles. Not because the team's good. They're not in anything. They're not in playoff talk. They're not in SEC championship talk. They've had a disappointing season. The talk is that he is gone. A lot of people have said over the last couple of weeks that maybe it's time to let him go, that maybe it's time to replace him. And then you have the story come out today that allegedly he said to a group of boosters, might be my last game. Thanks. Had a great time. I'm going to miss you. I'm out after this. Of course, they came out later on, denied it, both LSU and Les Miles. But I think a lot of people are feeling that it's the time, that they're going to get rid of him, and that he is out the door after this season. I'm not so sure if that's a great idea. I understand it's been disappointing. I understand the offense hasn't been great the last couple of years. I think a lot of teams in college football are too quick to get a guy out the door, though, and bring in somebody new when they've had success, thinking, oh, we're such and such school, we'll just find the next guy, next man up, and he'll have the same great success, and we'll be awesome. Doesn't always happen. Plenty of legends have been forced out, and things have gone bad. Fulmer down in Tennessee. Look how awful they've been. Michigan got rid of Lloyd Carr because he couldn't beat Ohio State. It took two coaches in almost a decade to get to Jim Harbaugh and to be good again. It happens all the time. The only way I can see LSU doing this and it being successful is if they get a guy who's proven at a high level. And some of the names that they're throwing out do not work for me. Now, you could always go get a mid-major guy like a Fuente or the guy down in Houston, but that's dangerous sometimes. Sure, it worked in Florida so far with McElwain, but that's because the guy already had a name as far as saying, hey, I did such and such at Alabama as their assistant coach. Then I went to a smaller school and was the head coach and had success. I know what I'm doing at the big school. And that's just 1 year. We'll see if they can even continue it past this year when he gets his recruits in there. But now if you bring in a major coach, it could work at LSU. I mean, you're spending a lot to get rid of Les Miles. So I don't know if you're going to be able to pay a lot to get a big-name coach. Some of the names that have been thrown around are guys like your boy Jimbo Fisher down at Florida State. Yeah, he's a title. But they're okay this year. Not as good as they maybe could have been. People were talking about them in the playoff mix and they've fallen off. And don't forget that this guy, while he has great players, has some wins, has problems controlling those guys. And that's at Tallahassee, where you're in the middle of nowhere, Florida. Now you're going to bring him to LSU, where you're an hour away from New Orleans, and think that the guys he brings in are going to be good quality and not going to get into trouble? I mean, if he can't keep guys out of trouble in the sticks, how is he going to keep them away from the big lights and party atmosphere of New Orleans? Chip Kelly from the NFL after the Eagles probably get rid of him. Well, that's great. Chip Kelly did great at Oregon, except now you're bringing him to the SEC. His offense, like it's having problems in the NFL, would probably have problems down there. It's a different breed of football, and we've seen in the big games when Chip Kelly was at Oregon, it didn't work out. He didn't get the big win. He got to those games, but he always had problems afterwards. And if you don't have the right quarterback running that system, it's not going to work in the SEC. You have Brian Kelly and Notre Dame people are talking about. A, why would you leave Notre Dame? Is there any school that's easier to recruit for than Notre Dame? I mean, great. Alabama has it easy with Nick Saban. But that's because of the success they've had. You know, certain schools like a USC can recruit. Notre Dame is one of the biggest names in college football. It's not, hey, come here and maybe we'll get on TV if our game's better than this game in our conference. It's, hey, we're Notre Dame. We're nationwide. Every game, no matter who we're playing, no matter what time, because we have our own TV deal. NBC plays us and only us. You always have good teams. You have a top-notch education program. You have a prestigious school in both respects, both academically and athletically. I don't think he's going to leave there. And even if he did, who's to say he's going to have success? Because once again, You have easier time recruiting at Notre Dame. So if you can't get the big wins there, why are you going to get the big wins down in LSU where you're going to have to battle some schools like Alabama? So it might not be as easy in LSU for him to go from Notre Dame to there. And he's already not had the big wins that you want at Notre Dame. He lost the title game. I'm not saying he's not a great coach. Just think things will be a little tougher down in the SEC for him. If you're LSU, maybe instead of paying the big bucks to get rid of Miles, and then having to pay more big bucks to bring in a big-name coach to get success, maybe you just say, you know what, Les, we love you. You've won titles for us. You've had great seasons for us. Things aren't working exactly like we want right now. You're getting a little older as well. How about we bring in a new offensive coordinator, revamp this offense, to rebuild it, to reimagine it, to make it better and work, and then we keep you for a couple of years and see how it goes. Because you know what? Eventually the guy's going to leave anyway. He's getting up there in age. So bring in someone that maybe is a smaller coach, even if it's one of these mid-major guys, to be the offensive coordinator, to groom into the head coach of LSU, and to save you money from paying $20 million to fire a guy just to pay a couple million to hire someone else. So a lot of people are jumping on the bandwagon to get Les Miles out of LSU and bring in someone new. I'm not sure that's the best idea. The price tag it's going to cost you, the guys that you're throwing around names of bringing in, the struggle that it is to win in the SEC against Alabama every year, I think you're better off leaving him in there where he's had success and bringing someone else to help him out with the struggles with the offense. So we'll see what happens down the bayou, but that's what I think. Brian Ciano in for Ferrall on the bench. Monday, Scott comes back. He'll be live 10 p.m. East, 7 p.m. Pacific on CBS Sports Radio across the country. So make sure to tune in.